Okay. And this is what I have to use. Okay. This one?
Did you already put it in? Of course, you need.
That's okay. I can move it from here. It's fine. I will. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Constanza from Safe Labs. We just had an awesome talk about Euro stable coins, but we're going to listen Constanza's point of view and a little bit of regulatory aspect of the stable coins and crypto. So please welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you. So the title of this talk is Code is Power, and it's going to be a little bit more about the regulatory and legal framework on stablecoin. So before I start, a little bit of disclaimers. This is not legal or financial advice. Views are on my own, and I do not represent any project that I am or I was affiliated with. And like always, do your own research. So the title of this talk is Code is Power because, like so many people, a couple of years ago, I started questioning why I was in the space. I've been in the space for a while, and I remember that in 1990, no, I know that in 1993 or in 2014, depends where you see the genesis, whether with the cyberpunk manifesto or with the beginning of Ethereum, we couldn't wait to be taken seriously and to have actual power, to have an impact, to build something that people were using. Except that today, in 2016, we are building meme coins. And we have, on the one hand, people that are building stuff with things, tools that have an actual impact and no use, and also very little money. And then we have people that are building meme coins that have no purpose. So what are we doing? The question is, are we fulfilling the promises of why we came in the space? So here's the thing about technology. Technology doesn't happen in a vacuum. In 1993, right after the fall of the Berlin Wall, we got the cyberpunk mailing list. Very few people that thought that privacy was a basic human right. And immediately after, in 1994, the US government classified encryption like ammunition. So basically, exporting encryption was the same as exporting small nuclear bombs. That's big, right? They understood the power of encryption long before anybody else did. And then in 2008, we had a financial crisis. Right after, we had the genesis of Bitcoin. With that, we had Ethereum. So what about today? What are we building today that matters? So here's the thing. The early cyberpunks and the early Ethereums were right about infrastructures. They were right about the implications of what we were building. And tech doesn't happen in a vacuum. Because when you're building small, nobody's paying attention to you. And here is the thing. When you are small, like the cyberpunk in 1993, you can get overlooked. Not always, but sometimes you get overlooked. But then when you go big, like today, everybody starts paying attention. And I mean everybody. Everybody? Well, we got state actors that are using crypto to fuel bribery in infrastructures where finance is the enforcing mechanism. We got governments treating the blockchain as a tool for expansion and for power. We got a government that launched a stablecoin, that launched a meme coin to give presidential access. So this is what crypto is right now. We have governments treating the blockchain infrastructure for expansion, control, and projection of power. So basically, we built something to help people. We actually built something to empower the powerful, because we got hacked. So crypto right now is too big to fail. That we know. And with that, we got even more needs. Because on the one hand, the cyberpunk tools are more needed than ever. We have people that actually need what we're building right now. Except that to what's happening, our response is a meme, a childish aesthetic. We don't really want to engage with institutions. We don't really want to compromise and talk with those that are in power and that are actually using our infrastructure for their own gain. So let's talk about the thing that matters the most, stablecoins, like the amazing talks we watched before me. So what are stablecoins? Like, if you take everything out, they are the go-to-market strategy for the government that is controlling the underlying power underneath them. Because the thing is that when you build a stablecoin and you peg it to a fiat, you are importing the entire architecture of that government. You are importing the sanction regime. Who can have access and who cannot. You are importing the geopolitical agenda. How can my fiat get even more adoption? How can I expand? How can I make sure that my own currency is getting adopted all across the borders of my countries? You are importing the freeze mechanism. So who can have access and who is not allowed to use it? And the compliance obligation. So everything is on chain. It just has a crypto wrapper. And the stablecoin now, with its value, I'm not sure if it's still the same value. That number was from 2025. It's huge. And like we saw before, everything is pegged to a single fiat. 99% of stablecoin are pegged to the US dollar. So that means that we do have a single point of failure. And that is not decentralization. That's the opposite of it. We will never accept a single point of failure at infrastructure level. So why do we accept a single point of failure at jurisdictional level? So that's the interesting part, because we are debating, but the US Treasury say that out loud. They say that stablecoins, US-backed stablecoins, will be used to expand the reach of the US government. And that's the thing. This is not just about America. I don't want to be anti-America. This is not about the fact that the stablecoins have a flag. This is about the fact that stablecoins have only one flag, only one person. So we are building a decentralized financial system that runs entirely on a single currency. Well, a single stablecoin, so a single currency. And so this is not decentralization, and this is why Europe should enter the conversation. And here is something where I want to be precise, because once again, it is not about being anti-US, it's more about being pro-decentralization, so pro-diversification. So a DeFi ecosystem that runs entirely on a single currency, on a single peg, is a DeFi ecosystem that is exposed to a single point of failure, and that is literally one decision away from regulatory framework, from being stopped, from failure, from a financial crisis. It is not a resilient ecosystem. So this is the question that we should be asking ourselves. And here's the thing about being right. You can be right and be completely irrelevant. And the cyberpunks in 1993 were completely right. They were right about everything, about privacy, about surveillance, about financial freedom. But they were being ignored. And adoption is not a compromise of value. If you get adoption, you are not compromising on your values. It is actually the opposite. Adoption is how values can win, because we can adopt and we can build things for everyone. So we can make sure that stable coins are actually getting used in a good way. So right now, we got institutions coming at the door. We got, like in the previous call, the EuroCV that is being developed right now by SCG Ford. We got so many different players, institutional players, that are coming and are knocking on the doors. And we can either engage with them, and we can build the regulatory framework for stable coins with them, or we can just keep on making memes and talking to each other without engaging with them. So we need to decide what our answer is going to be. So this is why Europe needs the euro stablecoin and why DeFi needs a diversified peg. Because we have two people here. We have the idealistic, so someone, I guess, a little bit like us, that is all for building cyberpunk tools, to not compromise with anything, and being sovereignty and ownership. And then we have the extremely realistic person that is about building only what gets adopted, compliance or nothing. But guess what? A diversified pegs is actually helpful for both, because it makes DeFi more resilient. So they both want the same thing. This is not being either or, it is and. So this is what hasn't been captured yet, what can be legislated away: self-custody. Self-custody should not be the advanced option, should not be the cyberpunk option, should be the baseline condition for any financial instruments that it is about ownership. Because the hard problems have been solved. We got account abstraction, we got social recovery, we got multi-signature, we got usable UI for teams and for organizations. So here's why SAFE is the baseline. So SAFE today is securing over 60 billion, and you can have a euro-dominated stablecoin in a wallet that actually belongs to you, without having to memorize a seed phrase, without having to be a cryptographer, without having to be a hardcore cyberpunk. So what we should do right now is to make it the default option. Because every time we make self-custody something premium, something a little bit too complicated, something that you have to go on the setting menus, we are making a political choice. We are deciding that people that need the most self-custody are the people that are not getting it. So what we should do right now is to make sure that everyone has access to self-custody in a safe and secure way. Because otherwise, if we make it the advanced option, we are not building financial inclusion. We are building financial exclusion, just with a nicer marketing wrapper. So the euro in stablecoin is not about idealism. The euro in self-custody is not about idealism. It's being extremely pragmatic. So yeah, here we started as kids that couldn't wait to go to school, grow up and become adults. And now we did grow up. Now we got institutional money, we got the tools, we got the infrastructure, we got so many users. So the question is, what are we doing with that? Because we do have the tools, we do have the alternative, and the tools are not in a white paper. The tools is today in production, securing over 60 billion in assets. So the cyberpunk in 1993 were right about everything. They were just too early, too few. And so today, we are not too early. Today, we have on-chain institutions. We are not too few, because I didn't expect so many people this early in the morning. So the question is, are we comfortable? I hope we're not. So finally, there is one thing about Europe, is that it is asking the right questions. We are asking about digital sovereignty. We are breaking the dollar dependence. We are having the right conversations at the right levels with the right people. So the answers cannot be another freeze function. The answers cannot be a conditional Europe. Europe, yeah, I don't remember how they were called, but the European digital currency, ECBD. So the answer cannot also be a meme. The answer has to be something that users, that people can use, can implement, and can finally stop using Revolut, Stripe, PayPal, or whatever. And this is not idealism. This is not, oh, you're so idealistic. This is about being extremely pragmatic for what we want and what we need. Because we built this to help people. We built this to help ourselves. And we built this because we believe that financial freedom was a human right and not a product feature. So right now, the governments are weaponizing our tools against us. So the question is whether we can let them do that or not. So when we have the entire DeFi rails on a single peg, we have the same infrastructure, we have the same freeze function, the same financial exclusion systems, we have the same sanction and compliance. So the question is whether we want to let that happen or we want to move forward and build something that it is for actual financial freedom. So code is power, and we should build like we know that. Thank you.
Any questions?
Please, no. Joking.
We still have 5 minutes to use, so if anyone has a question, sure.
Thank you for the presentation. Like, I think I took most of the slides in pictures.
I can send it to you later, but thank you.
Very funny. Well, I don't know much about the regulatory environment in Europe for stablecoins, but it seems like it's very expensive. Only a few will be able to make a business or make it sustainable to have a euro stablecoin with this regulation. This self-custody and no like freeze contract in a euro stablecoin, more cypherpunk as you were mentioning. How do you see it becoming a reality if at the end of the day, if you're going to have a euro stablecoin that people can use and trust, will be issued by who exactly? It's like if it's not a financial institution doing it. I don't know. I made a very bad question. I'm sorry. But you understand what I mean? It's like if big financial institutions are issuing the euro stablecoin that you think it's not good enough because it still has the freeze function, for example. If we want to have the other stablecoin that it's more self-custody and freer, more free, who will be issuing that, and how can I make that sustainable? Not a plan, just your vision, your idea.
That is one of the most important questions that we need to address right now. That's exactly the point, because if you build a stable coin, a euro stable coin that can be freed by the European Union, then it is the same as a stable coin that can be freed by the US government. So this is one of the questions that we need to address right now. And that's why I fully agree with TechRock when it says that we need more competition, because more competition means that we do have more innovation, and with that we can find a way to build something that it is actually useful. But I mean, for starter, making sure that we have self-custody and we don't rely on from Revolut to Coinbase. It's a start. So in these things, I like to be optimistic.
Do you think a DAO will do it? Or that's too much? Like,
Are DAOs still a thing?
there was a DAO that bought a constitution, like they raised like $200 million to buy a constitution.
I have my. What are DAOs? So that's like the entire question is, what are DAOs? Because they can be a Telegram chat, they can be just like a fancy coordination mechanism, but I have yet to see a good usability of a DAO. Let's put it this way. I can also like go on a full rant about that, because the entire way that you engage with a DAO is the same way that you engage with normal bureaucracy. You need to know someone, and that person needs to explain to you how it works, and there's still politics behind it. So it is not actually decentralized. Like the decentralized in DAO is not, it's maybe diversified, but there is so much politics underneath like what looks like a nice proposal that, sorry, very cynical about that.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Not really.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. I had a question, right? So envision a world where USD stablecoin is not the biggest player. We have other players, other currencies. How does that, like for example, a Stripe or a Revolut that you were mentioning, can't they just adopt that stablecoin and move all their payments to those rails? At the end of the day, we won't be removing these players. They will just be adopting these new
Wait 1 second, I cannot hear her.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, in this world, without USD domination, and we have other currencies, how is that going to be better if the big players just adopt these new currencies?
Okay, so in my opinion, what's happening is that right now the US dollar and the US government are losing influence on the geopolitical agenda. So the reason why they started investing, regulating, deregulating a lot into crypto is that in this way they can have a borderless payment system and they can expand the reach of the US dollar. They can also expand it to, let's say, countries that normally wouldn't be. So in this way, having only one peg to stablecoins means that we are de facto giving the keys of the financial world to a single government. So having also a European stablecoin means that we are diversifying that risk. And then hopefully on top of the euro stablecoin, something else will come up. And then hopefully in a few years, we're going to see also a stablecoin that is not actually pegged to a fiat, but it is pegged to a basket of goods, and it is not centralized by a government. Yes.
By the US government, right? So to have at least something against US dollar, even if it's fully controlled by Europe.
get to the decentralized stablecoins pegs little by little, but yes, because right now we have a single point of failure. Imagine if there is another financial crisis in the US, without like assuming any bad intentions. There is an extremely inflation rate in the US with an extremely bad financial crisis. The entire DeFi ecosystem is going to go down together with that. I met someone that was saving to buy a house and was keeping the saving in USDC, maybe? I don't remember. Anyway, the USDC versus the euro lost 10%. So his down payment for the house lost 10%. So for this reason, having only one peg is not helpful. Like, very pragmatically, like my friend lost 10% of what he was saving to buy a house because there was no European stablecoins. And, well, he lives in Berlin.
Right. I had a question. We're talking about a world, I guess, where euro stablecoins, or at least a Europe where euro stablecoins are prevalent, let's say. What do you see is the biggest use case for a euro stablecoin? Is it more for payments? Is it more for savings? Is it more like an investment vehicle that people use?
I am not the right person to ask for financial advice. So I'm definitely not going to say for financial investments. But yeah, I mean, paying with stable coins would be amazing. We saw it in the, I'm not sure if you were before, for the talk from RockTech that was illustrating how, yes, blockchain is the best way for payments, yet we are still using every other system and every other tools. So personally, I would like to save, instead of putting my money in a bank, to put my money in European stablecoins. Little known fact, I don't remember when, like 30 years ago, the Italian government overnight decided to tax every bank account like 5–10%. They were in a deep financial crisis, so all the bank accounts got taxed without any warning. So that could be a pretty good use case, making sure that nobody can tax you without you knowing that, because taxes are good.
All right. I think that's good amount of questions. Thank you so much,
you.
Costanza. It was amazing talk.
Thank
And
you.
privacy